time. And yeah, let's see how far we can get through my predictions for the 2023 season. We're going to start in the AFC North because, for those of you who don't know, I'm a Steelers fan. So this is quite important to me. Um, and we're going to go with the team that won the division last year, the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, 12-4. It was a pretty decent season for the Bengals. I remember the days when it was Marvin Lewis for, what was it, 17 years or something. Get into the playoffs 7 times, get out of it 7 times straight away. Those days are gone, at least for now. But we're going to look at the Bengals season that I think is going to happen. And this is what I'm predicting for 2023. There's so much green W there for the Bengals, but it's a good start. They're playing 2 division games. They're first at the Browns. Well, I don't like the Browns, certainly, and don't rate them too highly, as we're going to get to. But I've got a win there. They win they win at home to the Ravens. Rams is an easy win. Lose to the Titans is one of my kind of weird ones there. It's an away game. Um, I don't know. I put a loss in there. Cardinals, that's basically a bye week before they then play the Seahawks. There's a little bit of a run here. These are 3 very tough teams. Seahawks, 49ers, and Bills. Then they get 3 wins versus Texans, at Ravens, versus Steelers. See, I'm not a complete homer. I will accept that they are going to beat us sometimes. Don't beat us at home, as you can see in week 16. So, we do get them back once. We beat them in week 1 last year. So, that's not beyond the realms of possibility. And just one other loss to the Jags in Jacksonville. So, hopefully that's not too controversial. It means that they end with an 11-6 record. Only one less than last year. They've still got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins at least for this season until T needs paying, and obviously a poverty franchise like the Bengals won't pay him. So we'll see what happens after next year. But this year the window is still very firmly open, and I think they're going to be competing and possibly at the top of the division once more. Yeah, yeah, something in my throat there. Last season, 10-7. They did manage to get Lamar Jackson to play most of the season until the contract impasse meant that he had a very bad leg and couldn't be bothered. Sorry, couldn't actually take the field for the remainder of it. It meant that they gave the Bengals a last second win in the playoffs. They still had a 10-7 record in the regular season though, so Huntley's not terrible. And this is the record I have for them. I know, I like Zay Flowers a lot, and I'm really annoyed that he's gone there because I liked Lamar Jackson until he got drafted by the Ravens as well. So that's definitely an upgrade. I don't buy into the Odell Beckham hype. He was in the AFC North before with the Browns, did nothing, so I'm not exactly worried about him a couple of years down the line and more injuries. They start off, in my world, with a loss to the Texans and then a loss, obviously, at the Bengals. Beat the Colts against the new Lamar Jackson and Anthony Richardson. Couple more division losses, and then they have a little string there of 3 wins: Titans, Lions, and Cardinals. Lose to the Seahawks, they're a better team. Beat the Browns again. Well, we went there. Get swept by the Bengals. Lose at the Chargers. It's a long way to go to take a loss. Then they get a bye. Easy win then against the Rams. Lose to the Jags against the other side of the country. Back over to the 49ers. I give them a win. So, I give them a win. Don't be mad. I give them a win at the 49ers. Not people would do that. It means they end up with an 8-9 record, which again, it's only 2 less than it was last year. So, yeah, I do like a lot of Ravens players. I just don't like that franchise that was taken from Cleveland. And there we go. Not that I like Cleveland anyway. On to the Steelers. My Pittsburgh Steelers, for those that don't know, we're going to go through this as quickly and as painlessly as possible. Last year, 9-8. Again, amazing draft. It's another year for Kenny Pickett, who actually is going to be starting from week 1 rather than messing about with Trubisky. The season starts with a loss at the 49ers. Painful, I know. But then we do off a little bit of a run here. There's some easy teams. Browns, Texans, Rams, and Raiders. And then a loss to the Jags at home. And we've done that a few times in the past. Then we've got the Titans, Packers, and Browns. Again, this is a relatively easy schedule, so that's why it may look like it's weighted a little bit. If we had more tough teams, I would have given more losses. I mean, we lose at the Colts. I think that Richardson would have been fully in the stride by then. And then, although we beat the Bengals at home, we do then lose our last two games of the season. They're both away, at the Seahawks and at the Ravens. So that gives us an 11-6 record. Again, you can take wins and losses out. That's fine. And yet, teams can get better on offense or defense and lose more games. That can absolutely happen. Because injuries happen. So you got to think about that. You've got to factor in all these other things. Monsoons. Snow, acts of God. Antonio Brown running off the field in the second half. These things happen that you're not expecting to do. So we've got no idea how the rookies are going to bed in. We've got no idea the amount of injuries that a team's going to sustain. And this is just looking at, what I think could happen. I think I've been relatively fair there with the Steelers. If everything goes to plan, look, if it doesn't, okay, I'm not as gutted as I would have been if Kevin Colbert was still the GM, because we've now got Omar Khan, and I trust us to get a better quarterback in the draft if we have to move on from Kenny P. Let's move on, though, to the Cleveland Browns. Last year, 7-10. Not quite sure how they managed 7 wins, to be honest. They did do pretty well when Brissett was playing, and they got a couple of wins under Watson, but that was more kind of fluke. It's not going to be a good season for the Cleveland Browns. They're going to lose the first 2 games of the season against better teams. They're going to win the third and fourth game of the season. Then they get a bye in week 5, which even as someone that doesn't like the Browns, I think that's a bit harsh to get a bye in week 5. It's not going to help them, though, because they come out against the 49ers, then the Colts and Seahawks, who I believe are better teams than them. Give them a win versus the Cardinals because, spoiler alert, I think everyone's beaten the Cardinals pretty much this season. And then again, division rivals taking the loss, Ravens and Steelers. They lose at the Broncos. Something about mixing up the orange uniform does that, I think. And then, a Rams win. Again, the NFC West has got 2 great teams and 2 trash teams. Couple more losses, a win at the Texans. I was being generous, and that gives them a 5-12 record. So only 2 losses more than last season. I think that's fitting for what they've done to their franchise by putting it in the hands of Deshaun Watson. But a bit oily. So there we go. That means that the AFC North has this final picture: the Bengals 11-6, Steelers 11-6, Ravens 8-9, Browns 5-12. And like I said, you can always move these numbers around a couple, I think, either way. It's not an exact science. It's just me looking at the games and what I think. So there it is. AFC North, my prediction. I still think the Bengals get it on, I don't know, tiebreak or some rubbish.